Hello, everyone. We have made it.
Game 82. Wow.
Game 82.
Where did the time go, Sarah?
Oh, some days I thought we were never going to get here, but we have.
Yeah.
And looking forward to a playoff start this weekend. We don't know yet whether it'll be Saturday or Sunday, but we do know that playoffs are going to get going for the NHL this weekend. Game tonight here, the final one against the Anaheim Ducks. It is Fan Appreciation Night. Should be a great atmosphere inside Canada Life Center. And we have so much to get to.
Lots.
JT, over this next 30 minutes, we're going to talk playoffs, of course, extensions, news.
Just one.
The game, extension.
Yeah. Get everybody excited.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe it's just keeping them on the edge
True.
of their seat. You just
It
never
could
know.
be.
You never know what
It
might
could be
happen over
too.
the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about the game tonight. We'll hear from Morgan Barron and more. Plus, Chris Peters is going to join us to talk a little bit about the future.
Yeah, the NHL Central Scouting released the final rankings ahead of the 2025 NHL draft, which will be in Los Angeles this year. So Chris will talk about that. And one of the Jets prospects had some recent success at the Frozen Four. That and more coming up a little bit later in the show.
And we are going to give away tickets to the sold out Whiteout Street Party. So for game one, so you definitely we'll give that password momentarily. And I say that because also our producer is on right now. I'm giving him the heads up.
Yeah, you have to let him know.
That's right.
Where is our producer right now?
He's out and about right now. But JT, where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the Winnipeg Jets opponent.
All right, let's
in the
talk
opener round of
playoffs.
the playoffs. So we have to start in the best place. So it took forever to find out. There were multiple options last night. It looked like it was going to be Minnesota. It looked like it was going to be St. Louis. Ends up being St. Louis. So it's a rematch of the 2019 opening round series. We don't care what happened in that one. Doesn't matter now. But an interesting opponent to say the least, because there's that connection again with the Shens.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Shen Bowl. So
Yes.
Looking forward to that one. And you said even though 2019 was when these two teams last met in the postseason, we know how that obviously went. And while so much time has passed, there's only 5 players that still are on the Jets from that team, which I think Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Adam Lowry, Josh Morrissey's the only blue liner, and Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
I believe are the only 5. So much time has passed. Both teams looking very different than they were, but you still know that is going to be obviously a storyline that goes on throughout this first round about Jordan Binnington, about Connor Hellebuyck. And there's some people I was on with Hustler yesterday that the appeal of maybe going up against St. Louis, who has been playing obviously very well in the back half of this season, is that you could call this the revenge tour if it potentially lines up that you could take care of St. Louis. You never know. Maybe you face Colorado.
Yeah.
Maybe you face Vegas in the conference final. Just keep knocking
some people off.
There you go. You never know.
It is good to dream big about that stuff and to look down the road. But there's a big road in front of the Winnipeg Jets. St. Louis has been playing very well, although I think we go back to the last time they met and when St. Louis had won 12 straight.
Yep.
Jets took care of business, held them to 15 shots. Will it be that easy in the playoff series? Likely not. But a good matchup. And I don't think the whole question was, who do you want them to play? Who do you want them to play? Just like that you feel comfortable with anybody. The way that they are playing, the way they've been consistent all year long. You're not going, they have to duck this guy. They can't avoid this.
Right.
Yeah. So I felt comfortable or confident heading into if there was Minnesota, or Calgary, or St. Louis.
There you go. I had an appeal. Minnesota was appealing to just because of the proximity for it.
Yeah.
I love that idea of you see maybe a bunch of Jets fans make their way down to Minnesota for those games. But either way, very much looking forward to this one. And as you mentioned, one of the big storylines, that's going to get talked about a lot as well is that this is the Shen brothers going head-to-head, Luke Shen and Braden Shen.
Yeah, they have never played against each other in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They have played on the same team during the playoffs. That was with Philadelphia. But here's Luke and Alex Iafallo, starting with Luke Shen, talking about going against his brother for real in the playoffs.
Group and I think did a good job and like I said, I was cheering for him down the stretch, realizing it could be an opportunity or a possibility I should say of playing against one another, and not that we were necessarily hoping for that, but it's worked out that way, and it's going to be game on starting obviously we play tonight but starting tomorrow.
It's a good matchup, and I think it's going to be huge for us to get off a good start here at home. Obviously big specialty team, matchup. So, we got to be ready for that and keep giving our momentum pushing forward here.
That's Iafallo, who's we'll talk about him here momentarily. But there's a lot more to what Luke Shen was saying about facing his brother. It's not exactly his favorite idea.
No, understandably so. Can't imagine that it's mom or dad's favorite idea either.
And there was lots of the questions about who's going to wear what jersey. Is going to be discussed? And Luke did say, I can't imagine either one of my parents wearing a jersey. Maybe his dad will switch hats between periods and stuff like that, or after the face-off. But it would be hard as a parent.
Oh, it would be awful.
And then Luke said he's texting back and forth with his sisters, and they're like, "Are you kidding me that you're playing Braden?" So
it's no easier for the sisters either.
No. So it's not. He's not thrilled about it. And then there's also the comment that he made. They're probably they talk every day.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen during the playoffs because he says there's not going to be any inside information on either team. Both want to win.
Yeah.
There's that whole thing that's where family kind of cuts off a little bit for maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah. Looking forward to that one. That was, someone pointed out in the chat, we left Ehlers off of the 2019 list. 6, not 5.
So thank you very much. That's why we have you in the chat.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it a great deal.
Straight road.
Before we get going, so in just a few minutes, Chris Peters is going to join us. Let's give out the password. How about we give out the password or do we have to, did we give out the?
Oh yeah. What was it again? I'm trying to remember we have to give out the password and you have to type. What's it again?
Don't know. Do you not know?
I forget.
Okay.
We are going to give out something. We are going to give away these tickets to the Whiteout, just the process we're a little bit behind on. While Sarah goes through that, there's some great news coming out of Winnipeg this morning. Not about the opponent they're playing against, but there has been an extension signed.
Yes. Okay. Let's get to that in just 1 second.
You got it.
If you go through the chat right now, it has been tweeted out, the link for it.
There it is.
And so you click on that. The passcode is Whiteout. I know I went really off the board with this one. You were not able to guess.
We were not.
Like really.
You wouldn't believe the amount of meetings that we had.
Yeah.
We're like, what should we throw out the big password?
What could we do? What could we do for it?
Yes.
Make it really challenging for people.
How will they ever guess?
So there you go. That's what it is. Go click on that link. Hopefully it gets, I'm trying to scroll through as quickly as possible. Hopefully it gets put in the chat. Again, I see it there, a couple of spots for it. Whiteout is your password. So don't delay. Put that in right now because we have the producer sometimes gets very antsy and all of a sudden starts pulling names and we don't want you to miss out on that.
Okay, so
but you mentioned the extension.
So you said extensions, which I like that because you get people thinking, you're wondering, was there another one today? There's only one. We'll throw it up right here. There it is. Alex Iafallo extended 3 seasons. 3.67 AAV million, by the way, not just $3.67.
That'd be a heck of a job done by Kevin Shoveldayoff.
Listen, you're going to take this.
And you're going to like it.
Yeah, that's all you have. Okay, so Alex Iafallo, clearly thrilled, has done a great job in the absence of Gabe Velarde on the top line. Scored a power play goal against the Oilers the other day in a game that just never seemed to end. Just not a lot of, wasn't very thrilling.
It wasn't.
No. But both teams trying to not dress in their full lineups. That's what happens.
And he's played, as you mentioned, I mean, he's played really well since taking over for Iafallo, or when Iafallo has taken over for Velarde. 10 games with that top line, 7 points, 4 goals, 2 of them game winners. He's on a 4-game point streak right now. And I like the cap hit of it, 3.67. I mean, his current cap hit is 4. That was off at the 4-year deal that he had signed when he was with the Kings. But I love is that he embraces this city so much, loves the organization, seems so low maintenance. And the
never in a bad mood.
The home ice that we just released with Vlad Nemesnikov, one of the things that didn't make it in, but I was talking to him about how obviously there's so many on this team that enjoy the outdoors, fishing, hunting, or it might be. And I said, would we ever see you out there doing that? And he said, no. He said that Alex will leave at 5 a.m. to go fishing. And he says, I am not getting up to leave the house at 5 a.m. to go. But it just shows you how much he has embraced, how much he loves being the opportunities that are here to do.
I had Randy Carlisle, former Jet, on a podcast about 5 years ago now. And I remember him saying that if you are an outdoors person, Winnipeg is a great place for you.
For sure.
And that's why I think where Alex Iafallo has really enjoyed everything that Winnipeg and Manitoba has to offer in terms of the outdoor living part of it. That played a large role in his decision and certainly winning and his teammates. So let's hear from Alex Iafallo on the extension.
Excited, obviously wanted to stay here and, such a great organization, city fans. and just the team alone. It's been a fun year, and I just want to stay, and I'm pumped to get it done before playoffs for sure.
There's Alex Iafallo, here for another 3 years. So our first guest, we had previewed him a little bit earlier. There's the Central Scouting rankings have come out, the final rankings.
Okay.
This is where the top ranked prospects are. The Jets obviously not wanting to be anywhere near the top part of that. That's part of the deal.
Which
but
they won't be.
They will not be.
No.
But we are going to bring in an expert in these types of things.
All right.
He's done a great job over the years. We're not going to get him to predict what the Jets are going to be picking at 32. That's not fair at this moment. Although I'm sure you do know who would be around that area at this time, Chris. But it's Chris Peters, Flow Hockey, and all-around great guy, and plus a draft and prospect expert. Central Scouting final rankings came out yesterday. Any surprises at all with what Central Scouting is saying as the top prospects and so on and so forth?
No, I don't think so. I think they're following the trend lines that we've seen throughout the second half of the season. No one's really been able to overtake Matthew Schaefer since the World Juniors, and even though he only played 4 periods of the World Juniors, that's the guy I think a lot of people have tabbed as the clear number one. He looks like a number one defenseman. He's got talent. He's got size. He can defend, and he can score. So he's been out injured for really since the World Juniors, and he also started the season with mono, so it's a small sample that we're working with, but I think that the talent and the character of the player is something that NHL teams believe in so much that they're basically saying, hey, this is the guy. So we've seen, obviously, James Hagen's kind of came into the year as the guy that a lot of people thought would be number one. He's number 3 on North American skaters. Anton Frundell was the number 1 guy for European skaters. He had a tremendous second half of the season. His season still is ongoing in the Allsvenskan, where they're playing the championship series for Djurgården. So there's a lot of talent. I think that the draft it's not a great year to be picking later in the first round, right. But it's also still there's going to be value to be had, and as long as the scouts are still doing what they do every single year, getting out there and seeing all the players, you're going to be able to make a very informed decision about who's available late in that first round.
Well, one of the Jets prospects, Zach Naring, had a great year at Western Michigan this year, had concussion problems a year ago, but they go to the NCAA Frozen Four, and they win it all. So talk about him, and then talk about the program he's in at Western Michigan.
Yeah, I think for Zach, this ended up being a really good situation. He got put in a pretty elevated role right away. He actually outscored his USHL production in college. It's not something that you see terribly often for a freshman, but he had 30 points this year versus 14 last year. And as you mentioned, he had, injury issues and other things like that. But, he's a big guy. He's strong. He has power to him. And then, we're seeing the offense really come along. And what happens at Western Michigan, I think, is, they have not been the factory for the blue chip prospect, the guys that are going in the first and second round. They tend not to get those guys. But what happens is they maximize the development of the guys that they do get. I think Naring is the latest example of that. He really progressed throughout the season. He had some great looks in the national championship, hit a crossbar in the semifinal that everyone thought was going in. And I'm sure he's still having nightmares about that, even though they won the national championship. But to have a guy at that size and that skill ability, and also with the production that he showed at Western Michigan, I think he's going to be a guy that they look to as a leader next year. I think he still has more time, more to gain. But Pat Ferschweiler, the head coach there, has done a tremendous job of getting guys that maybe weren't on an NHL track to an NHL track. A lot of college free agents have signed out of Western Michigan. This is or lower draft picks have earned contracts. And I think, for Zach Naring, he was a guy at the beginning of the season. I was saying, hey, they might have to get him to the World Junior camp the way that he's played in the first half. And he's really sustained that throughout the year. So been very impressed by him and his growth and his development. I think it's only going to get better the more time he spends with Pat Ferschweiler, who does have NHL experience as an assistant coach at that level as well.
Chris, one more quickly on that subject. Ferschweiler had the greatest quote I've heard in a long time. He was asked about nerves going into the championship game. He said, "Nerves is for the unprepared. We're prepared."
Yes.
Does that speak to what type of guy he is and why this is such a benefit for Naring to be in that program?
Yeah, I think Pat Ferschweiler is one of the best coaches in college hockey, and he's probably one of the coaches that until this national championship wasn't getting talked about enough as a potential NHL candidate one day. He's a really remarkable guy. The fact that he went to Western Michigan and basically did the impossible. They had never won an NCAA tournament game before he got there. They had never, this year they won their conference's regular season and postseason title and a national championship. And in the NCHC, which I know a lot of Winnipeg Jets fans are going to be familiar with, North Dakota, Minnesota, Duluth, all those kinds of places, they won. No team has ever done all three of those where they won all the postseason championships from that conference, even though they've had 7 national champions come out of the NCHC. So that's a real credit to Pat Ferschweiler. He builds a culture. And I think that nerves are for the unprepared is such a great example of, hey, we are going to do everything the right way to prepare ourselves to get to where we need to get to. That is a team that built throughout the season. They traded goalies. Basically, they used a tandem the whole way and then finally decided on one for the postseason. They had a process. They stuck to it. And when we talk about his ability to maximize development of players, that to me is really the sign of an incredible coach, because if you can win and you can develop at the same time, that's the kind of guy that can really help an organization at any level. And so with him having previous NHL assistant coaching experience, having been a head coach now at a major program and only growing that program, I think the best is yet to come for Western Michigan for as long as Pat Ferschweiler is there. And even after he's gone, because he's leaving it in a much better place than he found it.
Chris, love listening to you talk about future NHLers and potentially future NHL coaches as well. But obviously the postseason is right around the corner now for the NHL. Are there any, we've been talking about playoff series. Obviously we know that the Jets are going to play St. Louis. There is only one series that is left to be determined in terms of matchup, and that would be who the Washington Capitals are going to play. When you look across the NHL though, is there a playoff series that you are in particular looking forward to watching?
Yeah, no question. I have Dallas, Colorado circled. I think, that's the one for me that just is, it's got everything you kind of want in terms of the star power. You've got the Rantanen element to it. You've got, these two incredible hockey teams that, I think the Avalanche getting Landeskog back on top of that is really just kind of the icing on the cake for that particular series. But I will say that Winnipeg St. Louis series, that is going to be a sneaky good one in terms of, there is going to be some pushback from the Blues. And so I think the Jets have been well prepared throughout their season with what they've done. But I think that Central Division kind of quadrant of the playoffs is really where, for me, I mean, there's a lot of great series, but for me, that's the one that I'm most looking forward to. Those two to just see. I think we're going to get a lot of, a long series in both. So really excited about where we're at. I think, this process and the Stanley Cup playoffs every year delivers the drama. And I don't think you could ask for two better first round matchups right here in the Central.
Chris, you always deliver, but for our fans who don't know where you are and where to find you, tell us, first off, congratulations on great Flow Hockey's going on right now, but where can everybody find you? Where can they find your stuff?
Yeah, so we're flowhockey.tv. We're going to have a lot of draft coverage. We just did a lot of Frozen Four coverage, and obviously we're covering Gabriel Landeskog comeback in the AHL last week, which was great for us. But yeah, that's where most of my all my written work will be. We'll also have our podcast called Up the Prospects podcast on Flow Hockey and across YouTube as well. And then you can always get me up on X at Chris M. Peters. Lots of NHL draft stuff to come. We're heading to the under 18s next week, so we're really wrapping up this season pretty quick here.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Chris. I love listening to him.
Seriously. And his background studio gets better every time. So things must be going well at Flow Hockey because he added some new books back there.
But you and I discussed, because you follow the prospects much closer than I do. But listening to Chris talk about.
Well, look how excited he was about Zach Naring and
No.
Okay. Well, it's because I know what nice things to ask and say that. Right. So it's just, but talking about Western Michigan and Pat Ferschweiler, the head coach there, like that's great content. And that's why I felt it was important to bring him on, because, a lot of the Moose aren't having the best season right now. It's been a very challenging campaign for them. So I just want people to get excited about one of the Jets prospects who's a Frozen Four champion will have a big role in Western Michigan next season.
Absolutely. So continuing on just quickly, when turning our attention back to current Jets, Alex Iafallo, if you missed it, He has signed a 3-year extension with the Jets that will keep him here until he is 34. It's at a cap hit of $3.67 million.
Yeah.
Clarified, JT clarified
Yes.
that was not $3.67 per year.
To be accurate, is $3,666,666.
Wow. There you go.
I do read emails every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Some pending UFAs when you look at it for the Jets still. Nikolai Ehlers, don't tell Jets fans that. Tanev, Mason Appleton, Dominic Toninato, Neil Pionk, and Hayden Fleury are the players that are set to become UFAs.
Next on the list.
Next on the list. Just a reminder, we are giving out just shortly. We will give out the tickets to the first whiteout party. It is sold out. What day is it going to be? We don't know yet.
No.
But you're going to have the opportunity to go. So you want to make sure we will hand those out momentarily. But we do want to talk a little bit about today's game because there is still one regular season game left. When Scott Arniel was asked about facing St. Louis, it was not a road that he really wanted to go down.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that.
For it? Well, I mean.
Well, everybody
you can't
else
blame
is
him,
like,
but
it's got to be so hard. Because, we've heard for a while now, game 80, we're getting ready for game 83.
Right.
Now you're at game 82.
And everyone only wants to talk game 83.
You have everything. You have the President's Trophy. By the way, they lost the other night, but still won.
Right.
They get the President's Trophy. They've got the Central. They've got the West. So congratulations to the Jets on that one.
Absolutely.
And to you, the fans, because you play a large role in this as well. But as for what this game is, like you're trying to find something. Well, the Ducks have won the previous 2 meetings. Do you want to lose the season series? Does that really matter?
No, it doesn't. And
Are you going to sit there going home? Oh no, we got swept by the Ducks. No.
No. So
Is one of the Ducks doing nothing except helping their respective countries at the World Championships?
Well, so the Ducks played last night in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually how a game ended in that final minute. What played the relevancy of Minnesota being able to get at least a point, guaranteeing themselves at least a point. They ended up winning the game in OT, but being able to guarantee themselves at least a point, finished then in that first wild card spot. So that is how the Jets and St. Louis ended up playing against each other. So the lines for today, we are expecting, we saw changes on Sunday's game, some players being held back.
Is anybody being held out of this one?
The answer is
no.
No.
Except
How
for
do you
Gabe
feel
Velarde
about
and Nick
that? Because
Ehlers.
we have seen some other teams take the opportunity to rest players or keep them out for fear of injury. This always goes into a debate.
Well, Morrissey got a rest the other day. Morrissey got rest. Shan got rest.
I'm not disagreeing with the choice to play everybody.
Oh, you're asking me.
I'm just asking you.
You're asking little me, in my opinion. I think this is the right thing to do because if you're playing Sunday or Saturday, that's a long time.
Yes.
And a lot of these guys, there's some guys that want to play all 82 games, which is important to them for good reasons. In particular, Cole Perfetti, first time in his career, is going to be doing. He's playing tonight, so I don't have a problem with this. Now, the other night when Sandberg blocks that shot and he can't get up off the ice. By the way, it was a dead leg he had, only a dead leg, hit a nerve somewhere. Said I tried to get up, I could not.
I thought I was so concerned.
I thought it was the same area or same leg.
I thought that it had hit his foot, so
yeah.
I was concerned immediately. The foot that he had broke when he blocked that Steven Stamkos shot against Nashville. I thought that it was the same. I thought it hit the foot originally, and I thought, oh no, what if he's broken it again? But I love it when I'm like, it was just the knee.
Yeah, I know. Or it's just a dead leg. I'm like, okay, that sounds awful. But he said that's the whole thing. And Murat Tesh asked a very good question. Did you know?
Yeah.
Like, did it feel different? He said, yes, it still hurt.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
if you can't feel your leg, something had to hurt.
Yeah.
Pretty badly. But he said that the feeling came back in the dressing room. And obviously in a game that means nothing, you're not going to bring him back.
Right. Nikolai Ehlers out week to week. Gabe Velarde is officially listed as day-to-day. He took to the ice by himself for the first time yesterday.
And then again today.
Okay. So moving in the right direction for it. So we will wait and see when it comes to Gabe Velarde. That's something that we will obviously be following along as the postseason gets going. I did have the opportunity to catch up with Morgan Barron this morning just to also set the scene with respect to the playoffs and the game tonight. People had their eyes on the scoreboard last night or various games trying to figure out potential opponents. You guys, were you watching as well?
Yeah, I watched. Well, I think when I kind of started paying attention, started watching the Minnesota game a little bit, and I think at that point St. Louis was already winning. So I kept going back and checking the standings, trying to figure out exactly what meant what and who we were going to get. But it was a pretty exciting end to that Minnesota game, and obviously it means we get St. Louis. So it felt like whatever way it was going to shake out, we were going to get a really good team. And yeah, I think we're up for the task, and we're excited, and it'll be a great series with them, I'm sure.
Okay, so obviously you weren't in the league last time that these two teams met in the postseason, but you are well versed in games against the Blues. What do you expect a series between St. Louis and Winnipeg to look like?
I'm sure it'll be physical hockey. It always seems to be that way, especially once you start in the playoffs and everything means a little bit more. It's a little harder to get ice. You know, I think they have a ton of skill kind of up and down their lineup, and obviously you saw what they did with that, I think it was 12-game winning streak. So, you know, we get a team that's coming in that's playing their best hockey of the year, and I think that's a great challenge for us. I think the rest of the way you're going to be getting really good hockey teams. That's just kind of how it works at this point. So I'm sure it's going to be a fast series, physical, and lots of skill on display.
How much are you looking forward to the atmosphere inside this building when game 1 and 2 kicks off?
Yeah, I can't wait. Obviously, I missed it last year. I think I was sitting up in the catwalk somewhere, and it's pretty hard to watch on the outside when you're hurt or not playing. So it's been a few years, but excited to kind of, well, I should knock on wood saying that, but one more game to get through here. But when it comes through, I know everyone's going to be really excited.
Okay, so let's really talk. There is one more game to go through. It's game 82 tonight against Anaheim, and this can be a bit of a challenging game sometimes for both teams when going in. What is it going to be priority-wise for you?
I think it's just playing the right way. Obviously, it's only a few days off the playoffs here, but we'll get a good break after this game and kind of be able to reset. And I think you want to be playing your best hockey leading into the playoffs, and you know that includes the game up and until the playoffs. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to play a real good, young, skilled team that we haven't beat this year. So it'll be a challenge for us, but I think it's kind of a good opportunity to get our feet rolling in the right direction.
Finally, you'll play wherever you're put, but playing in the middle and the success that you have had with it, what are you enjoying about centering the line right now?
Yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed kind of taking the face-offs as the obvious thing. You know, it can be challenging and frustrating at times, but it's been fun to kind of pick up that skill, and it's something I've done, you know, I guess years ago now, but kind of try to pick up where I left off, and then yeah, from there it's kind of been, you know, guys coming in and out, playing with different guys, new guys, so it's been a lot of fun, but I think it gives me an opportunity to kind of have the puck a little bit more and a little bit more responsibility, I guess. So that's kind of a challenge you try to welcome with open arms.
Well, good luck tonight. Thanks for the time, and I can't wait for the postseason.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
One of the best guys out there. That's my youngest favorite player. She's like, who's the most underrated Jet?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, Vladimir Nestikov. She goes, no, it's Morgan Barron.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's coming to the game tonight, so she's looking forward to seeing Morgan Barron, who's been tremendous.
He has done a fantastic job. I was joking with you that when he said, well, the obvious is enjoying taking the face-offs, and I thought, well,
I don't think that's obvious.
I didn't think that was that obvious.
But he's like, he's like, duh.
Yeah.
Dude, how do you not know this?
Obviously, you never played center, Sarah.
I did, but it was face-offs, not the one thing. Touching the puck more is the ice. So I like that he brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have winners for the street party for game one. You know what? We are trying to convince the bosses to give us more tickets to street party for game 2 as well. We will have to wait and find out, but make sure that you tune in all throughout the playoffs for us. Here is who will be going, though. Get 2 tickets for...
Can't be inside. May as well be outside.
Oh, it's going to be great. I cannot get over, to be honest, how quickly they sold out.
I know.
I had someone message me right away.
I was like, so when you did the news conference group with regard to the whiteout party, I was like, oh, I think some people will show up, but it was insane. It was so loud down there.
Oh, it's going to be a fantastic.
The crowd was nuts.
It's going to be a great atmosphere. Okay, so tickets, and I apologize if we mispronounce your name.
I feel confident you got these.
Wow, that's you're such a jerk. Jody Crisco. That's why are you still here then? Matthew Hyman, Sherry Reed, Paige Miller, Trent Ploman, Sharon Bushy, Dustin Fair, Reiner Cruz, and Oren Steinfield. you will be contacted. You win a pair of street party tickets for game 1. Congratulations. We love
Nicely
seeing
done.
so many of you. There's some familiar names in there as well that are often involved in our chat. So we always enjoy that. When again is game 1? We're not sure. What we do know for sure is that check-in is going to continue on throughout the postseason. Again, when can you catch us next? We don't know, JT.
We have no idea, but we do have another show coming up. We're going to be with you through the whole way. The show will remain half an hour. You guys have been great.
We've had so much fun.
Yeah, and the fact that you guys have been watching all the time has allowed us to have the opportunity to go into the playoffs. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, so you're going to have to stay tuned. We will obviously know that whenever the schedule comes out, game 1 and on, you will be able to catch us here for check-in. We will get you set as usual with what the lines are that we're expecting. We will have a great lineup of guests with analysts.
Time zones are amazing, so that works out for us.
Thank goodness. We will take you inside the room and more. So really looking forward to this. Again, we appreciate all of your support, all of you throughout the 82 games so far. And hopefully we have many more games to go deep into the spring.
We're so much so that you get tired of us by the time June rolls around.
I already am tired of some people here.
Sorry, no. I'm not tired of any of you.
I'm not tired of any of you either.
One person in particular, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
That's right.
So thank you so much for watching.
You guys, you are the best. Enjoy if you're coming to the game tonight. Enjoy it. It is fan appreciation night.
Non-stop pop. I just saw that pop up there. And free hot dogs.
I mean, sounds like a great time.
What else
Just saying. We look forward to the playoffs starting around the corner. We will have all of the info for you. And again, hopefully we'll have even more street party tickets.
Go Jets, go.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Thanks for checking in.